My beloved child, listen closely now. Before your thoughts scatter, before the noise of the world presses in again, pause here with me. This moment is not accidental. You did not arrive at these words by chance. I have drawn you here because something within you is stirring, something that refuses to remain silent any longer. You have felt it, have you not? That quiet unrest, that sense that life is more than what you have been shown, that inner pressure that rises when you try to settle for less than what your spirit knows is true. You told yourself you were tired. You told yourself you were weak. You told yourself that maybe you were simply asking for too much. But, my child, hear me clearly now. Those who carry nothing are never disturbed this deeply. The unease you feel is not a flaw. It is a signal. There has been a weight on your heart that words have struggled to explain. Moments where you questioned your worth, your direction, even your sanity. Times when it seemed as though resistance appeared the very moment you decided to rise. And in your quiet hours, you wondered why the path felt heavier for you than for others. I tell you this, gently yet firmly, the path is heavier because you are meant to carry more. You were not formed for shallow waters. You were not shaped for borrowed dreams. You were not designed to live numbed by distraction or confined by fear. From the beginning, there was something distinct placed within you, a depth that cannot be imitated, a fire that cannot be manufactured. And because of this, there has always been opposition. Not because you are weak, but because you are becoming aware. Do not misunderstand this truth. The resistance you face is not proof that you are failing. It is evidence that you are nearing clarity. And clarity threatens everything that depends on your confusion. Many times, the struggle has unfolded quietly in your mind, a whisper questioning your value, a subtle suggestion that you should shrink, delay, or doubt. A pattern of exhaustion that leaves you wondering why progress seems to slip just out of reach. You assumed this was life being unfair. You assumed it was your own inadequacy. But my child, the battlefield has always been your focus. When your focus drifts, your strength leaks. When your focus scatters, your power feels distant. When your focus is stolen, your purpose feels heavy. This is why you have been surrounded by noise when you needed stillness. This is why distractions multiply when you're on the edge of understanding. This is why old wounds resurface just as you begin to heal. Nothing meaningful is ever opposed casually. You have tried to fit into places that could not hold you. You have dimmed your voice to preserve peace. You have stayed silent when truth burned within you. And each time you did, something inside you ached. Not because you were wrong, but because you were betraying your own becoming. Hear me now. You were never meant to disappear to be accepted. Those who are meant to rise often walk alone before they lead. This solitude you have known is not abandonment. It is refinement. I have allowed the quiet so you could hear what noise would have drowned out. I have permitted distance so you could learn discernment. I have removed what was familiar so you could discover what was eternal within you. You wondered why certain people drifted away, why support vanished when you needed it most, why understanding felt rare. My child, some cannot walk with you where you are going, not because they are evil, but because your growth exposes what they are not ready to face within themselves. Your light does not harm them, it reveals. And revelation is uncomfortable to those who prefer shadows. Still, you endured, even when tired, even when confused, even when tempted to give up quietly and call it maturity. You endured because something within you refuses to die. That resilience is not self-made. It was placed within you long before you had language for it. Do not rush this awakening. Let it settle. Let it reorder your thoughts. Let it challenge the stories you have told yourself about who you are and what you deserve. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are awakening. An awakening feels unsettling before it feels powerful. This is the beginning of a shift, not one that happens overnight, but one that happens deeply. From this moment forward, you will start to notice patterns more clearly. You will sense when your energy is being drained instead of nourished. You will feel a growing discomfort with what once felt acceptable. This is not restlessness. This is alignment beginning to take shape. I ask you now, gently but directly, will you stay present long enough to receive what I am revealing? Do not turn away too quickly. Do not dismiss this stirring as emotion alone. There is wisdom here meant to be applied, not just felt. In the days ahead, I will show you how to reclaim your focus, how to guard your inner space, and how to walk forward without carrying unnecessary weight. But for now, breathe. Let these words settle, and acknowledge this truth. You are not broken. You are being prepared. If this message resonates with your spirit, pause and respond, not for me, but for yourself. If you agree with this truth, write yes in the comments below and allow your declaration to anchor what has begun within you. Stay with me. There is more ahead: clarity, strength, and direction that will unfold step by step. I invite you to walk through all of it, not rushing, not resisting, but receiving. And my child, if these words have brought you peace or understanding, I encourage you, like this message, subscribe to remain connected, share it with someone who needs encouragement. And if you feel led and supported by what I am doing here, support this ministry through the link given below. Remain until the end of this journey. What is coming will help you live with greater clarity, courage, and purpose. I am with you, always. My child, remain with me. Do not rush past this moment as if it were only words. What I speak now is meant to settle into you, to steady you, to open your eyes to what has been happening beneath the surface of your life. You have sensed it already. A tension that does not come from the outside alone, a fatigue that sleep does not cure, a heaviness that lingers even when circumstances seem calm. You wondered if this was simply stress or disappointment or the cost of living in a demanding world. But listen carefully. What you have been facing is not merely external pressure. It is an unseen contest for your awareness. This struggle was never meant to announce itself loudly. It does not arrive with obvious force. It moves quietly, patiently, shaping your thoughts before you realize they are no longer your own. It asks questions that sound reasonable but slowly weaken your certainty. It repeats narratives that sound familiar until you mistake them for truth. You began to question your instincts. You hesitated where you once trusted. You delayed where you once moved with confidence. And each pause felt justified. This is how the battle works. Not by breaking you all at once, but by persuading you to break connection with your inner knowing. Not by stealing your strength outright, but by convincing you that you never had it to begin with. Understand this. No one fights a war where there is nothing to gain. Your mind became the focus because your mind shapes your direction. When your direction is unclear, your steps become hesitant. When your steps slow, your purpose feels distant. And when purpose feels distant, you begin to accept substitutes. Comfort without fulfillment, distraction without peace, survival without meaning. I have watched you carry thoughts that were never meant to live inside you. Assumptions about your limits, beliefs formed from rejection, expectations shaped by disappointment. You absorbed them slowly, thinking you were being realistic, mature, or cautious. But realism without truth becomes a cage. You were told to be smaller to avoid conflict. You were told to be quieter to remain accepted. You were told not to expect too much. And over time, you learn to doubt your own depth. Hear me now. Discernment is not negativity, and hope is not foolishness. You were not designed to live guarded against your own potential. This is why you have felt internal resistance when settling for less. This is why something within you pushes back when you attempt to silence your questions. This is why shallow answers leave you restless instead of relieved. Your spirit recognizes when truth is missing. The unseen opposition does not fear your activity, it fears your clarity. It does not fear your busyness, it fears your focus. It does not fear your exhaustion, it fears your rest, because rest restores vision. When you are constantly reacting, you are easier to direct. When you are constantly distracted, you are easier to drain. When you are constantly doubting, you are easier to delay. This is why your attention has been pulled in so many directions. Why noise increases when you attempt stillness. Why confusion rises when you near understanding. None of this is random. Yet here is what has not changed. You are still here. Despite the doubt, you endured. Despite the confusion, you continued. Despite the weariness, you searched. That persistence is not accidental. It is evidence of something anchored deeper than circumstances, something that refuses to surrender even when answers feel slow to arrive. You do not need to fight harder. You need to see clearer. The moment you recognize the nature of this struggle, it begins to lose its hold. When you stop internalizing every doubt as your own, you regain authority. When you pause before reacting, you interrupt the cycle. When you choose awareness, you reclaim ground. This is not about blame. It is about responsibility. The responsibility to guard what shapes your thinking. The responsibility to question what drains your peace. The responsibility to return to stillness when the world demands constant motion. You were never meant to live at war with yourself. The clarity you seek does not come from gathering more noise. It comes from releasing what was never meant to guide you. It comes from remembering who you were before fear learned your name. In the days ahead, you will notice moments where old thoughts attempt to resurface. Do not wrestle with them endlessly. Observe them. Ask whether they lead you toward life or away from it. Ask whether they strengthen your resolve or weaken your spirit. Awareness is power when applied consistently. I am not calling you to isolation. I am calling you to alignment, to live from truth rather than reaction, to move from intention rather than pressure, to choose depth over distraction. And I ask you now, honestly and gently, are you willing to examine what has been shaping your thoughts? If you are ready to step out of confusion and into clarity, respond as an act of commitment. If you are willing to reclaim your focus, write, "I am ready" in the comments. Let that decision mark this moment. Stay with me. Do not rush away. What unfolds next will help you recognize patterns, protect your peace, and walk forward with steadiness instead of strain. I am guiding you. You are not alone. Beloved, stay present with me. Let your breathing slow as you listen. What I speak now is meant to bring understanding to questions you have carried for a long time, questions you may not have known how to voice, yet felt deeply within your spirit. You have often looked around and wondered why your journey seemed more demanding, why progress required more effort, why lessons arrived through difficulty instead of ease. You observed others moving forward with apparent simplicity, while your steps felt measured, tested, delayed. You questioned yourself quietly. You asked whether you were doing something wrong. You wondered if you were simply not built for ease. But hear this truth with clarity. Paths are not weighed equally because purposes are not shaped the same. What is light to one would never strengthen another. What is simple for some would leave you unprepared for what lies ahead. I did not design your life to be a race for comfort. I designed it to be a journey toward depth. You were never meant to skim the surface. This is why your experiences have pressed you inward rather than outward. This is why comfort alone has never satisfied you. This is why shallow victories left you unsettled instead of fulfilled. Something within you recognizes that growth without grounding is fragile. The weight you have carried has not been placed upon you to crush you. It has been allowed to shape you. Each challenge has refined your discernment. Each delay has taught patience. Each disappointment has stripped away illusions that could not survive where you are going. Still, I know there were moments you felt exhausted beyond explanation. Moments when your spirit felt heavier than your circumstances justified. Moments when you wondered if rest would ever feel complete. My child, that heaviness came from carrying more awareness than those around you. Awareness brings responsibility. Sensitivity brings depth. Depth brings weight. Yet it also brings clarity, compassion, and strength that cannot be taught through ease alone. You are learning how to stand without constant validation. You are learning how to move without immediate applause. You are learning how to trust truth even when it isolated you. This is not loss. This is preparation. There were seasons where things fell apart just as you thought they were coming together. Moments when stability slipped through your fingers. Times when what you trusted suddenly shifted. You thought this meant failure. But what was actually happening was refinement. Some structures must collapse before they can be rebuilt on truth. Some connections must dissolve so that deeper alignment can form. Some illusions must break so clarity can emerge. You were never meant to carry borrowed identities, inherited expectations, or unexamined beliefs. Each disruption was clearing space for something more honest, more enduring, more aligned with who you truly are. Still, you tried to hold on. You tried to make sense of it all with logic alone. You tried to rationalize pain so it would feel manageable. But pain that carries meaning cannot be explained away. It must be integrated. This is why you could not simply move on like others. This is why healing demanded reflection, not avoidance. This is why your growth required solitude at times others feared. Your spirit does not thrive on distraction. It thrives on understanding. And yes, there were moments you felt unseen. Moments when your effort went unnoticed. Moments when your endurance felt invisible. I saw every one of them. I saw the nights you questioned yourself. I saw the strength it took to continue. I saw the quiet courage it required to keep choosing integrity when shortcuts were offered. You were never forgotten in those moments. You were being anchored. Now, you stand at a point where the weight begins to make sense, where patterns reveal their purpose, where the heaviness you carried becomes stability instead of burden. You are beginning to recognize that resilience is not loud, it is steady. It does not demand attention. It builds quietly until it becomes unshakable. This is why your journey could not be rushed. This is why shortcuts would have cost you more than time. This is why ease alone was never enough. I ask you now to release comparison. Comparison distorts vision and drains gratitude. Your path does not need to resemble another's to be valid. Your timing does not need to match another's to be right. Honor the depth you have gained. The wisdom you carry now was forged, not given casually. The strength you possess now was earned through endurance, not convenience. The clarity you are developing now is rooted, not fragile. And this is only the beginning. As you move forward, you will notice a shift. What once overwhelmed you will no longer control you. What once confused you will begin to instruct you. What once felt heavy will become grounding. But you must remain present. Growth requires awareness. Understanding requires patience. Transformation requires willingness. I invite you to continue with me. Do not stop halfway. Do not disengage when things begin to settle. What unfolds next will help you apply what you have learned in ways that bring peace, direction, and practical change to your daily life. If you recognize your story in these words and are willing to honor the depth of your journey, respond now as an act of affirmation. If this speaks to you, type Amen in the comments. Let that acknowledgement mark your readiness to move forward with understanding instead of doubt. I am guiding you step by step. Trust the process. You are becoming steady. My child, stay with me in this moment. Let your heart remain open, not guarded. What I am about to reveal may stir old emotions, but it is not meant to wound you. It is meant to free you. There have been faces you still remember. Voices you once trusted, connections you believed would last. You replay moments in your mind, wondering where things shifted, what changed, and whether you could have done something differently to keep them close. You asked yourself difficult questions. Was I too much? Was I not enough? Did I expect too deeply? And in those quiet reflections, you often carried the blame alone. But listen now, with clarity and gentleness. Not everyone who walks with you is meant to walk with you forever. Some were assigned to a season. Some were meant to teach, not to stay. Some were present to reveal your strength, not to share your destination. This does not make them cruel, and it does not make you flawed. It simply means alignment has timing. You outgrew certain spaces without realizing it. Your awareness expanded, while others remained comfortable where they were. Your questions deepened, while others preferred familiar answers. Your inner standards rose, while others felt unsettled by change. And growth, when it is genuine, creates distance. This is why some relationships became strained without explanation. This is why conversations that once flowed now felt heavy. This is why support faded when your vision sharpened. It was not that you became unlovable, it was that you became undeniable. There are those who can celebrate your potential, but not your progress. They admire the idea of who you could be, but feel threatened by who you are becoming. When your clarity increases, it reflects what others avoid within themselves. This reflection is uncomfortable. You tried to soften yourself. You tried to remain agreeable. You tried to hold space for dynamics that no longer honored your truth. And still, the distance grew. Hear this clearly. What is aligned does not require you to abandon yourself to maintain it. When staying cost you your peace, it is not loyalty, it is self-erasure. When silence becomes survival, something essential is being compromised. When you are required to shrink to belong, the environment is no longer suitable for your growth. This does not mean you failed. It means you evolved. Loss feels personal when you do not yet see its purpose. But many departures were protection disguised as pain. Some people could not remain because their presence would have slowed what is unfolding within you. I know this truth is difficult to receive. You valued sincerity. You gave generously. You showed patience even when it was not returned. And still, you were left questioning your worth. But your worth was never determined by who stayed. What you carry is not meant for everyone. Your depth requires capacity. Your insight demands responsibility. Your presence invites honesty. And not all are willing to meet that invitation. This is why certain connections dissolved when you began to see more clearly. This is why those who benefited from your giving withdrew when you established boundaries. This is why some celebrated you only when you remained accessible, agreeable, and unthreatening. Boundaries reveal intentions. When you stopped over-explaining, some disappeared. When you stopped rescuing, some resented you. When you stopped diminishing yourself, some felt exposed. And though it hurt, it was necessary. You were not meant to be surrounded by those who only consume your energy. You were not meant to be shaped by those who resist growth. You were not meant to be held back by fear disguised as familiarity. There is a loneliness that comes with transition, a quiet ache that arises when old connections fall away before new ones appear. This space can feel empty if you misunderstand it, but this space is not absence. It is preparation. I am creating room for alignment. I am clearing what no longer resonates so that what does can enter without obstruction. You cannot carry what is next while holding what belongs to what was. Trust this process. You will meet those who recognize your depth without trying to use it. You will encounter those who walk beside you without needing to control you. You will connect with those who value your truth, not just your availability, but they will find you where you are going, not where you have been. This is why I ask you to release resentment. Resentment anchors you to what has already passed. Forgiveness does not excuse harm. It releases you from carrying its weight. Let go, not because they deserve peace, but because you do. The strength you are developing now will shape how you choose moving forward. You will no longer confuse attachment with alignment. You will no longer chase connection at the expense of clarity. You will recognize when something nurtures you and when it depletes you. This is wisdom earned through experience. Do not rush to fill the quiet. Do not fear the space. Allow this season to recalibrate you. Stillness is not stagnation. It is integration. You are gathering insight, restoring balance, and strengthening discernment. Remain attentive. What you lost was not meant to define you. What left was not meant to limit you. What ended was not meant to erase you. It was meant to make you ready. As you move forward, apply this truth gently in your life. Notice how your body responds in certain environments. Pay attention to where your energy increases and where it drains. Let peace be your guide, not obligation. And I ask you now, honestly, are you willing to stop holding on to what no longer honors who you are becoming? If you are ready to release what has weighed you down and step forward with clarity, respond as an act of intention. If this message resonates, type "I release" in the comments. Let that declaration mark your willingness to move ahead, unburdened. You are not losing. You are aligning. My child, remain here with me a little longer. What I reveal now is not meant to accuse you, but to restore you. There are truths that cannot heal until they are seen clearly, and today I draw your attention to one that has quietly shaped much of your experience. There were moments when you felt drained without knowing why. Times when you left conversations exhausted instead of encouraged. Seasons when your energy seemed to disappear faster than it could be renewed. You assumed this was simply the cost of being caring, responsible, or loyal. But listen carefully. Not all exhaustion comes from effort. Some comes from misplaced giving. You gave understanding where accountability was needed. You gave patience where boundaries were required. You gave access where discernment should have led. And you did this not because you were foolish, but because your heart is generous and your spirit seeks harmony. Yet generosity without wisdom becomes vulnerability. You were taught that strength meant endurance at any cost, that love meant staying even when depleted, that kindness meant explaining yourself endlessly until others were comfortable. Over time, you began to confuse self-sacrifice with virtue. But there is a difference between service and surrender. You surrendered your time to those who did not respect it. You surrendered your peace to maintain connection. You surrendered your intuition to avoid conflict. And slowly, without realizing it, you handed away pieces of your power. Power is not domination. It is not control. It is the ability to remain rooted in truth while engaging the world. When you abandon that truth to keep others close, power leaks quietly. I saw you override your inner warnings. I saw you justify what felt wrong. I saw you silence questions that deserved attention. You did this because you believed harmony required self-denial. But harmony built on self-erasure cannot last. Hear me now. You are not required to explain your worth to anyone. When you constantly prove, persuade, or perform to be valued, you move away from alignment. What is meant for you will not demand that you abandon your center to be accepted. Some learned how to access your giving without honoring your boundaries. They relied on your consistency while offering uncertainty in return. They received your energy without considering the cost to you. This is not because you invited exploitation. It is because your light was visible, and visibility attracts many intentions. Not all of them aligned. Yet here is what matters most. What was given can be reclaimed. Power is not lost permanently unless you believe it is. The moment you become aware, restoration begins. Awareness interrupts old patterns and creates new choices. You are not meant to pour endlessly without replenishment. You are not meant to carry responsibilities that were never assigned to you. You are not meant to be the source of stability for those who refuse to stand on their own. Compassion does not require depletion. In this season, I am teaching you how to pause before responding, how to listen not only to words, but to the energy beneath them, how to recognize when giving strengthens connection and when it weakens you. This is not selfishness. This is stewardship. Your energy is not infinite. Your attention is valuable. Your presence carries weight. Where you place it determines what grows. Notice how you feel after certain interactions. Notice when your body tightens, when your mind races, when your spirit feels heavy. These signals are not inconveniences. They are guidance. You no longer need to justify stepping back. You no longer need to apologize for choosing rest. You no longer need to remain available to prove your goodness. Goodness that costs you your well-being is imbalance, not virtue. As you begin to reclaim what you gave away, there may be resistance. Some will question the change. Some will test the boundary. Some will attempt to draw you back into old roles. Remain steady. You are not withdrawing love. You are redirecting it. You are not abandoning others. You are honoring yourself. And in doing so, you are learning how to give from fullness rather than obligation. This shift will feel unfamiliar at first. You may experience guilt where none is needed. You may question yourself when choosing rest over reaction. This is natural when old patterns dissolve. But stay present. Each time you choose clarity over compulsion, strength returns. Each time you listen to your inner knowing, stability grows. Each time you protect your peace, power settles back into its rightful place. Apply this gently in your life. Start small. Pause before agreeing. Reflect before explaining. Rest without justification. Observe how much lighter your spirit feels when you stop carrying what was never yours. And I ask you now, sincerely, are you ready to reclaim the energy, focus, and authority you once gave away? If you are willing to step into this restoration, respond as a sign of commitment. If this speaks to you, type "I reclaim" in the comments. Let that declaration anchor this shift within you. Stay with me through the remainder of this journey. What follows will help you build stronger boundaries, deeper clarity, and a life guided by intention rather than exhaustion. Watch until the end, because each part is designed to help you apply truth where it matters most: your daily living, your relationships, and your sense of peace. And if these words have brought you understanding or relief, I invite you, like this message, share it with someone who may need it, subscribe to remain connected, and if you feel supported and strengthened by this ministry, support the work through the link given below. What is being restored in you now is not temporary, it is foundational, and it will carry you forward with strength and clarity. My child, stay attentive with me. There is wisdom hidden in what once felt empty, and today I uncover it for you. This part of your journey was quiet, not because nothing was happening, but because something essential was forming. There was a time when your life grew still in ways you did not choose. Conversations slowed, invitations faded, the familiar noise lessened, and in that quiet you felt exposed, unsure whether you were being forgotten or protected. You wondered why progress felt